Shooting victim unsure if drunk REO intentionally shot her. 2 dead in Albertown house fire. Government negotiating for vaccines for children. And presidential immunity. A modern-day get-out-of-jail-free card. I am Noriko Bulford, and welcome to tonight's edition of Uncut News. According to the police, Lethem shooting victim 25-year-old Gladys Benedict said that the events that preceded her being shot by drunken Region 9 REO Carl Singh have left her unsure if Singh had fired the gun intentionally. The police originally said that he had drunkenly shot her in his truck around 11 p.m. on the 20th of July at the commercial zone in Lethem. Benedict was immediately taken to the hospital while Singh was subsequently arrested. A few days later, the police said that their investigation had revealed that the shooting was allegedly accidental. Negligent. Not accidental. Negligent. Singh was then released on bail. The case file on the investigation was sent to the DPP for legal advice. The cops are still awaiting the legal advice, but I can save them the time and tell them that the DPP is just going to say, let's just pretend an elected public official didn't just shoot his lover in the abdomen. Hess Corporation CEO John Hess recently disclosed that Guyana is on track to produce an additional 440,000 barrels of oil by 2024. The Liza Phase 2 project will utilize the 220,000 barrel capacity Liza Unity FPSO. That remains on track for startup in early 2022. The offshore's third development, Payora, will utilize the 220,000 barrel capacity Prosperity FPSO, scheduled for first oil in 2024. Once this occurs, Guyana is expected to be producing well over 600,000 barrels of oil a day, since the Liza Destiny is expected to undergo upgrades that will see more than 130 barrels per day from the Liza Phase 1 project. 2 women died in a fire in Albertown this morning after they were trapped in an apartment complex. The women have been identified as a 25-year-old and 41-year-old Venezuelan nationals. Even though firefighters came promptly to the scene, the first floor of the building was already engulfed in flames. They had difficulty breaking the building's grills to free the women trapped inside. Unfortunately, by the time they could get inside, the 2 women had already collapsed. A third person was also trapped, but they were able to escape unharmed. In related news, Fire Chief Calamity Edo has just underscored the need for business owners to outfit their buildings with the proper fire safety equipment, so poor people don't have to burn to death because of some rich man's criminal negligence. But he didn't say that last part, by the way. I did. Edo explained that it is imperative for their structures to be constructed in conformity with internationally recognized safety standards. He stated that while the Fire Service and the Fire Advisory Board will play their role in educating the public on fire prevention, the onus is also on the owners to ensure that they take the necessary steps to prevent disaster. However, I might add that for this to be possible, Chief, the government needs to update the building codes. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. They don't care. Are you one of the chosen few that benefits from duty-free? Good for you. Check out these amazing vehicles that just arrived at Best Buy Auto Sales. This 2016 Toyota Harrier Grand Sport Edition, this 2014 Range Rover Evoque, and this 2016 Lexus RX 200T are all on sale. They are all fully loaded and come with all modern features. Call or WhatsApp 662-0844 for more info, or visit their showrooms at Lot 171 Peter Road Street, Queenstown, or Lot 2 La Marches, and tell them Noriko sent you to get in on a sweet deal. It must be a slippery season as the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority is investigating yet another runway incident, this time involving a Roraima Airways Britain Norman Islander aircraft in the village of Arichang in Region 7. The aircraft was taking off when it overshot the runway, ending up in a clump of nearby bushes off of the runway. The cause of the runway excursion is yet to be fully determined, as the GCAA is still to release a formal statement on the incident. The aircraft appeared to have been shuttling cargo at the time of the incident. This is actually the third of such accidents for the month. Over in Berbice, on Wednesday, 2 masked crowbar-wielding men stormed the Super Pet shop at Transformer Street Rose Hall in Berbice before carting off $33,500. According to the cops, they ordered the sole customer in the shop to lay face down while demanding the money from the register. They reportedly ran off with the money without hurting the attendant or anyone in the store. Also in Bapis, yesterday afternoon, 34-year-old pedal cyclist Davenant Manrup was hospitalized after a bus slammed into him while allegedly trying to overtake another vehicle. The accident occurred on the Bath Settlement public road on Wednesday. After overtaking, Manrup said the minibus slammed into him and drove away from the scene of the crime. After the collision, Manrup was taken to the hospital while the hit-and-run driver is still on the run. Have a business and need access to more Gundu balls? Register it on one of the fastest-growing business directories in Guyana. Sign up for free on snap.gy and get your business listed today. And yes, you heard me right, it's absolutely free. Get listed today on snap.gy. It's now time for today's Run Report. Today, the nation recorded 57 new cases. There are now 535 persons dead, 15 persons in the ICU, 786 persons in home isolation. The total number of confirmed cases around the nation now stands at 22,372. So please, people, wash your hands frequently. Avoid touching your nose and mouth and mask up before you leave the house. When you do leave home, try to avoid enclosed spaces and large crowds. And remember to give 6 feet of space between you and others. The Health Ministry is actively negotiating with various organizations to source vaccines for children. Currently, only the Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna vaccines have been given emergency authorization for children between the ages of 12 to 18. That's in the United States. So far, over 500 children have contracted the virus, with 3 children having died. That's over here, including an 11-year-old cancer patient. According to the Health Ministry, the vaccines would have to be sourced through third-party suppliers, as the American manufacturers had explained they will be unable to supply these vaccines until 2022. Yesterday, 57-year-old pervert Clive Lewis was charged with exposing his genitals. Lewis appeared at the Linden Magistrates Court and was not required to plead to the charge. He was released on $20,000 bail and will be back in court August 18th. Don't miss the grand 50% off sale and get a free 1-month Digital Prime bundle plan. Available at City Mall, Starbucks Square, Regent and Light Street, Massey Turkine, and Massey Providence. Shop early, limited stocks available. And now for our stupid news of the day. You know what I think is stupid? That despite claiming to hate Burnham with all their heart and soul, the PPP really loves his constitution. Even after some of the reforms in 2000, the 1980 Burnham Constitution still gives a ridiculous amount of power to the executive branch of this nation's government. When you read the laws, it effectively makes the president a constitutionally sanctioned dictator, by definition. But of course, the big one we care about now is the immunity given to the president when he becomes head of state. Just as we saw with our current president, you could be facing over 19 felony charges, and the second you become president, you are immediately pardoned. Such a law is effectively a get-out-of-jail-free card for charismatic criminals who somehow get elected to the highest office in the land. But the most irritating part of all this is the fact that the flaws in the Constitution are only obvious to the opposition of the day. But the second that party gets into power, suddenly it's excuse after excuse as to why they can't change the rules, which is dumb. The Constitution is not a sacred cow, too holy to be touched. It is a living document for a young, growing nation. And like any other young, growing nation, we must shape the laws in a way that makes sense for us today. Anyway, I'm just going to keep it short and say, if you do the crime, you should do the time. As such, I think we can all agree that the people need to push the government to amend the Constitution, as the concept of presidential immunity is pretty stupid. You there, Mr. Truck Owner. A great place to get high-quality truck parts and engine spares for low prices is Powered Automotive. They stock spares for DAF, Freightliner, Mach, International, and all models of Cummins engines. Visit them at Lot 1161 EE Eccles or call them on 697-0171. Save big on truck parts at Powered Automotive, the #1 heavy-duty truck parts store in Guyana. Real team. Moving on to our Uncut News Views Poll question of the day. Every day we pose a question about current events in the nation, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it relates to us. So you give your responses in the comments, and we'll read the best ones in the following episode. Yesterday's question was, how do you feel about the concept of presidential immunity? Owenna Bruce said, no person should be above the law, be it the president or the janitor. That's why the Constitution has separation of powers. But in this day and age where everything is used for political mileage, no sort of law makes sense anymore. Oh gosh, I agree with you so much, Owenna. Sean G. Academy says, no illegal acts by presidents. That promotes more corruption in the country. Corruption, crime, immunity. Corruption, crime, immunity. Repeat forever. Do away with presidential immunity. And finally, Suresh says, I guess most right-thinking Guyanese would want the presidential immunity revoked. Yes. But most of the time, the government of the day holds the majority. Exactly. Question is, how do we as the population influence these changes to the law? Well, I can give you one suggestion. Pressure them on traditional media, social media, and organize in the streets. Demand an immediate timeline for change, or the people will shut down the government. If you need any more ideas, books in Google is always free. And besides, I don't want to say any more because I'm pretty sure I'm skating on thin ice already by doing this show. Ha-ha! Anyway, so for tonight's question, what more could be done to get parents more involved in the school lives of their children after the pandemic is over? Think about that question and tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in our next episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight. Check us out tomorrow for another. Until then, I'm Rico Bulford saying good night, folks. Hey, Uncut News viewers, thanks for watching. You can subscribe by clicking on this button over here, or click over there for more news. You can also drop a comment to let me know if you've made it to the end of the video. Goodbye for now.